Well, welcome to today's webinar on how to use MICoR. My name is Jenny van der Meerberg and I'm presenting today's webinar on behalf of Vegetables WA as part of the Export Facilitators project. This webinar has been created with input from the Department of Agriculture, who manage the MICoR website. This project has been funded by Horticulture Innovation Australia using the Vegetable Levy and funds from the Australian Government. Viewers of this webinar should take independent action to confirm any information in this webinar before relying on that information in any way. The objective of today's webinar is to learn about a website called MICoR and how to use it effectively to inform your export decisions. By the end of the webinar, you should be able to describe what MICoR is and understand how it relates to your export business, be able to search MICoR effectively, including results captured by the fields all and other, be able to interpret the results from your search and understand what is required to comply with importing country requirements, to understand the limitations of the information within MICoR, and to know what support services are available if you require further assistance. Firstly, let us begin by explaining what MICoR is and why it exists. MICoR stands for Manual of Importing Country Requirements. Importing Country Requirements, or ICRs, are the conditions a trading partner imposes on products seeking entry into their country. Importing Country Requirements are designed to protect the biosecurity status of the trading partner. Similarly, Australia has strict importing country requirements for those seeking to export products to us. Importing country requirements are set by the National Plant Protection Organisation, or NPPO, in each country. The NPPO in Australia is the Australian Government's Department of Agriculture, and therefore they manage the MICoR database. MICoR is a database of known importing country requirements for Australia's trading partners, as advised by their respective NPPOs. MICoR takes the form of a website and can be found at micor.agriculture.gov.au. MICoR should be used as a guide only. NPPOs may update importing country requirements at any time and without notice. It is the exporter's responsibility to confirm importing country requirements well in advance of export. MICoR is a centralised database which should be exporters' first reference point when considering sending product into a new market. So how is MICoR relevant to your business and why do you need to learn how to use it? It's important to note that importing country requirements for Australian products may differ to the importing country requirements for goods originating in another country because we have different pest and disease profiles that the trading partner is seeking to manage. For example, the conditions for Australian broccoli to Japan might be different to the conditions for Chinese broccoli to Japan. It is essential you check MICoR to make sure you are aware of the importing country requirements for Australian produce. Sometimes importers in other countries are unaware that these conditions vary from place to place. As the exporter, you must do the due diligence. Be aware importers are not able to change importing country requirements. These are set government to government. Fresh horticultural produce is legislatively defined by the Australian Government as a prescribed good. All prescribed goods must demonstrate that they meet importing country requirements before they can be legally exported from Australia. It's important to note there is a distinction between fresh and processed goods. Only fresh product is a prescribed good and must comply with importing country requirements. Processed products are non-prescribed goods and do not need to comply with importing country requirements. In simple terms, a carrot is a prescribed good, but a carrot cake is not. If your business produces a processed value-added range, you may be exempt from importing country requirements as defined in MICoR. MICoR provides a wealth of information for exporters, but it is critical we understand its limitations. MICoR does not provide export documentation. MICoR does not provide export advice. And whilst MICoR can answer the overwhelming majority of search requests, it is not 100% complete. It can only search the information uploaded into it, and not every possible commodity country combination has been tested. Gaps in information in MICoR exist because either the NPPO has not provided the Australian government with formal advice, or because no one has ever sought to request export permission for a particular commodity country combination. It is important to view MICoR as one part of a bigger export jigsaw. As an exporter, you will need to review a number of pieces of information to make informed export decisions for your business. MICoR is the most logical starting point, but beyond that, exporters should also consult the Plant Export Operations Manual and the specific work plan for their commodity country combination if there is one. Work plans are available through the MICoR website for registered users. It's also valuable to subscribe to the Department of Agriculture's Industry Advisory Notices, which send regular updates on changes to importing country requirements or registration periods for exports to certain markets. First-time exporters can also refer to the Exporting Plants and Plant Products, a step-by-step guide for Australian exporters, available from the Department of Agriculture. The other very useful source of information for exporters is their peak industry body. They support exporters to grow their business and can help you understand how to interpret the above sources of information. The homepage for MICoR can be found at micor.agriculture.gov.au. You need to click on the plants icon if you're an exporter of horticultural produce. Once in the plants section, we do not recommend the search box in the top right-hand corner. If you get the combination of words exactly correct, it will provide the result you are looking for, but it is equally likely to lead you astray with incomplete results if it doesn't recognize the combination of terms you have used. Instead, we recommend you scroll down to see the refinement options towards the bottom of the screen. This is the same page. I've just scrolled down further. You can still see the heading refinements, the same as we had on the previous slide. MICoR defaults to showing results for all countries and all products, but now I will show you how to effectively search this information. The best results are usually obtained by using only the country and group fields. I recommend not selecting anything in the end use or scientific name fields. It is important to remember in MICoR the following are classed as fruits as they develop from a flower, and this will be relevant when making a selection in the group field shown on the previous slide. Fruits include avocados, capsicums, chilies, cucumbers, eggplants, melons, olives, pumpkins, squash, tomato, and zucchini. Now we're going to do an example search together. For the purposes of demonstration, I have selected the country India and the group vegetables. You can see the search result for vegetables to India on the right. There is a hierarchy to reading the results. If you can see your specific product by name, this is the information you're looking for. So in this example, if I was looking to export onions to India, I would select the first link, chives, garlics, leeks, onions, shallots. Clicking that link takes me to the MICoR record I need. You can see all the search criteria is still at the top. We are looking at chives, garlics, leeks, onions, shallots to India. The most critical information is contained within the export criteria box. In this example, we can see that you do not require an import permit. You do need a phytosanitary certificate. You also require an additional declaration or endorsement, the details of which are further explained in the record below, but it is not a protocol market. You can also see the date the information was last reviewed by the Department of Agriculture. Now I'm taking you back to the main search page for India and vegetables. We previously pretended we were looking to export onions, so we clicked on chives, garlic, leeks, onions, and shallots. This time, we shall pretend we are looking to export lettuce. Since lettuce is not explicitly named, we should look in the categories all or other. In this example, we have the option of other, so this is what we would select. By following the link, we can see that all other vegetables are prohibited imports to India. Therefore, in the case of our example, I am not allowed to export lettuce to the Indian market. Here's a different example. This time, I have selected the country Malaysia and the group fruit. You can see there are 4 categories listed by name, and there is also a category for both all and other. In this example, if I wanted to export a cucumber to Malaysia, and remember earlier we learned that this is classified as a fruit, there is no explicit cucumber record, so I must check all or other. In this example, both options exist. So how do I know which is relevant? Let's compare the results side by side to see the difference. The record for all is referring to dried fruit, and the record for other is referring to fresh fruit. You will only be able to see this information once you click into the record. It is important to check you are looking at the correct record. Many people have been caught out looking at a dried fruit record but seeking to export fresh produce. In our example, to determine if I can export a cucumber to Malaysia, I need to be looking at the other record because it relates to fresh produce. I can export the cucumber and I do not require an import permit, a phytosanitary certificate, any additional declarations or endorsements, and it is not a protocol market. Sometimes when searching MICoR, you will get very simple results, especially in unregulated markets. This is the search result for vegetables to Singapore. It yields one record which permits all vegetables entry to the market with no conditions. Other times, you will get very complex and lengthy results, especially in protocol markets. This is the search result for vegetables to Thailand. It is 4 pages long and each entry has detailed and complex requirements. The final tip for using MICoR is to make sure you read the general requirements very carefully. There are many records that specify only certain states or territory jurisdictions are permitted to export. This is due to the pest and disease profile of that specific place. In this example, we can see beans to Japan are permitted, but when we examine the general requirements, we can see they are only permitted from Tasmania. It is recommended you contact the Department of Agriculture if you have any technical difficulties using the MICoR website, or if you cannot find something specific, a scenario where there is no record that covers the country commodity combination you are seeking, or if you believe there is an anomaly in the information being presented to you. The Department of Agriculture do not provide commercial trade advice. They only provide technical clarification as the regulator. Nor do they respond to requests such as, can you tell me all the countries I can export carrots to? Because this information is publicly available through MICoR, but you must search for it yourself. You can contact the Department of Agriculture using the General Inquiries form found on their website. If you are a vegetable or onion levy payer and you would like additional export support, please get in touch with the export facilitators available in Western Australia, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania. Alternatively, get in touch with the AusVeg export team through export@ausveg.com.au. Thank you for learning about MICoR with us. To provide feedback on this webinar, please contact Manus Stockdale from Vegetables WA.